money don't last, the friends don't last. The only thing that lasts is the pain. So it's like if I'm going back to collect more of that.
I like how you said that. So my environment was the confirmation for what needed to change and for who I had to be. I knew my father wasn't there all the times that I needed him. You feel what I'm saying? So I didn't want to be like that for my children.
You know what I'm saying? On the level of racism, on the level of the hardships, we got our hardships, but the hardships on black men back then.
Yeah. Oh, it's no comparison.
You know what I mean? Drugs, alcohol, all of that.
Why is the lion the king of the jungle? Why the lion is really the king of the jungle? Because they're relentless. Lions make a decision to do something. And when they make a decision to do it, they do it with they won't back down. They're relentless. They fight.
Anything can happen. Like, yeah, you probably nigga street like kick that shit out. I wasn't kicking nothing out. Like, I don't know, like that shit just in me for real.
I'm good, yeah. So I had to practice not letting my emotions get to me.
But it's deeper than that too. Like black has so many different meanings, you know what I'm saying? And I researched all this, and then in my paintings, the last color I use in all my pieces is the black. So I come around with this really black, bold line.
Always be doing good. So when something really bad happens, I see so much good in the bad shit that I can't even take it like it's bad. I just be like, you know what, God did that. I'm gonna embrace that.
It's good to help others, but don't take away from what you need to build on with yourself.
Yeah, we've been together since we were since my stepdaughter was a year old, and she's 20 years old now. So,
man, you look so young. It's hard to believe you got a 20-year-old daughter.
I got a 27-year-old. I'm talking. My biological is 27. My stepdaughter is 20. You know what I'm saying? And I got a 7-year-old. So my two biological children are 20 years apart.
Touch on when you said get married and take it serious. Because I like how you said, man, I ain't taking it serious at first. Break that down for me, bro.
Yeah, you know, you get married and you think marriage is, you know, sex every night, paying bills, going out, raising babies, and all that. But it's a business. Cause you got to get a license to get married. So it's automatic. It's a business. You got to understand it's a business. And when you're going into it,
taxes too.
Yeah.
All that make a difference.
You got to go into it as a business, not as in, oh, we just gonna get married and we're gonna accumulate a bunch of shit and a bunch of debt. You know what I mean? Like, nah, this shit is a business. And you got to run it like a business. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck who's gonna be the president. Give a fuck about no president.
So the more we still got to pray,
I still got to get up and go to work. I still got to govern my house. I got to be the president of my house. You know what I'm saying? My wife got to be the vice president. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be a business.
At what point, you said y'all been together for 10 years now, right? Married, officially married.
Yeah.
At what point did your mind state change into taking it serious? What age was you when you first got married?
Shit, let's go back 10 years. Let's go back, going on 10 years. Let's see, I'm 46. Let's go back to, I hate doing math in my head. But I was probably like 37. Yeah, I was like 37, 37. Yeah, 36, 37 years old. And you know, we had been on the off and on, the ins and out, in the relationship, the makeups, the breakups.
19 years old, right?
No. Since my stepdaughter was
Oh, you've known her since she was 19.
No. My stepdaughter was a baby. She was still a little girl. She was a year old when me and my wife first started dating.
Okay.
I was like in my 20s. I was like 20, 28.
Okay.
My wife was like 20. You know what I'm saying? And you know, the makeups and breakups of relationships. We gonna be together, we ain't gonna be together, moving, living together, not living together.
Was fidelity in your 20s, was that ever an issue?
In my 20s or in my marriage?
No, I mean your 20s and
your 20s, and in my 20s, yeah, man. What, bro? I had no clue. You know what I mean? I was a father I became a father at age 19. You know what I'm saying? And you know, back in the 90s and the late 80s, you know what I'm saying? Where you had this whole thing that black men don't take care of their children, black men lead their children. You know what I mean? You know, you hear all the shit. You know what I mean? A boy can make a baby, but it takes a man. You know, you hear all that shit. LOG, be a father to your child, and all those things. And I was just determined that I wasn't going to be one of those guys. That was my mindset. I'm never going to be like them guys.
At 19 years old.
Yeah, at 19. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to be a deadbeat dad. I'm never going to be that. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't meet my father till I was 22. I didn't meet my biological till I was 22 years old. It took my mother to die. It took my mother dying in order for me to meet this guy.
How did that affect you meeting him?
You know, at the time I was I was hurt. Well, you know, my stepfather, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But, you know, still, you know, your biological dad, man, he never did nothing for me. Nothing. He got me here. And it took me time to understand that and appreciate that. And also go through the situation with my daughter's mother. My oldest daughter's mother is starting to understand that, yo, it ain't perfect. It ain't gonna be perfect. It ain't no guarantee, especially when you making a baby when you young, and neither one of y'all know yourself. You know what I mean? She was 16 and I was 19. So I was kids. Yeah, we were kids. I didn't know myself. I had knowledge of self to a degree. Niggas ain't working right now. But I had knowledge of self to a degree. You know what I mean? I was in organizations since I was 14, 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? So that was my father. You know, I had a father in the house, my stepfather, but he was, you know.
I tell y'all, to this day, do you still have a relationship with your stepfather?
Like, my stepfather passed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he passed. My father passed. My biological father passed. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, before you was 40? I mean, obviously, but before you finish your 20s, everybody passed?
Well, my father passed, I was in my 30s.
Okay.
My mother passed, I was 22. My biological father, he passed, let's see, he passed when I was like 40, I was like 40, 41. My biological father passed, and it's crazy because when my baby girl was on the way, I had just gotten to a point. I was like, man, I'm not gonna let another one of my children grow up not knowing their grandfather. So I went one morning. I got up on a Saturday morning because my brother had developed a relationship with our father. Mm-hmm. So he was, you know, going to see him in North Carolina, talking to him and keeping in contact with him. But he hadn't seen him either. He had never seen him. Let's see, my brother, he was 23 when my mother died. I was 22, so he had never seen him either. We had always heard of him and we knew about him. You know what I mean? My family in North Carolina, everybody knew about him. Boy, you look like your father. Every time they see, boy, you look just like your father.
But you never personally.
I had never personally met him. You know what I'm saying? And I had been down North Carolina like my entire life. I've been back and forth in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like going to visit, spending summers down there. You know, my mom died, man, and it was like a family friend was like, you know, like you need to meet your father, man. You know, you need to go meet your father. And he took me to meet him. And
how was that first meeting with?
I wasn't impressed. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, somebody, you know, that haven't been in your life and they talking to you like they're an authority head to you.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the wrong.
And I was just like, bruh, like, nigga.
And I'm grown too.
Who you think you ought to tell me what I'm not? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to religion, you keep telling me I'm a Christian, and I keep telling I'm not a Christian.
He did.
Yeah, and you keep talking about, your mother raised you a Christian. I'm like, yo, it ain't about what my mother raised me as. It's about who I am and who I tell you I am. You're gonna respect my position and where I'm at. And if you're saying that, you know, Christianity is the religion or whatever, you wasn't there to teach me shit and show me no way.
Yeah,
so I found my way, and I chose the way to be who I am, and it works for me. If you're a Christian, you know what I'm saying, and you know, you don't have no plans on taking my life and robbing me or whatever, then be that. You don't have no plans on breaking in my house, raping my wife, raping my children or whatever, then be a Christian. If that works for you, be that. If you're a Muslim or whatever religion, if it makes you better, a better human being, be that. I ain't judging no religion. I ain't got time to be judging no religion. You know what I'm saying? Like your personal, your personal relationship with the Creator or whatever you want to call it. That's between you and the Creator. It ain't gonna make me better or make me worse. So be that. But don't tell me what I'm not and what I should be and what I'm supposed to be if you wasn't there to give me no guidance. You ain't never been there, nigga. So don't talk to me like. Like you gonna give me some guidance, nigga. I need to give you some guidance. I need to tell you, you know what I mean?
It might have been hard for him to admit that. That's was he always Christian? I can't imagine.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? My father was a functional alcoholic. You know what I'm saying? And so was my stepfather. So my stepfather, you know what I mean? Functional alcoholic, but he was a good guy. You know what I mean? He went to work every day. You know what I mean? But he was just one of them guys that drank every day. And grandfathers seen, you know what I'm saying, on the level of racism, on the level of the hardships. We got our hardships, but the hardships on black men back then.
Yeah. Oh, it's no comparison.
You know what I mean? Drugs, alcohol, all of that. You know what I'm saying? And we still victims of it. The thing is, how you gonna overcome? How you gonna get through it? You know what I'm saying? And my thing was always, ain't nobody coming, man. Ain't nobody coming to save you. Get that shit out your head. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if they coming, still act like they not coming. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because you know when my mom was sick, from the time I was in the 4th grade until she passed, dealing with lupus.
Oh wow.
My mom's had lupus, and she was in and out of the hospital all the time. If you ever know anybody that had lupus and be home for a week or month, the next thing you know they back in the hospital, and that's what I did with my mother. So I was constantly being shipped around.
I was about to say, who was raising
to different relatives, my aunt, my grandmother, you know what I'm saying, and my grandmother. We already had a whole bunch of people living with my grandma, my uncles.
That's how it always be.
You know what I'm saying? I got my cousin from North Carolina. She got children. She was living with her. My grandmother had my aunt's daughter. My cousin.
You was up here?
Yeah, up here.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, living with my aunt. You know, being abused and shit. You know what I mean? I just got tired. Like I'm gone. I'm running away. You know what I mean? I'm gonna stay somewhere else. I'm gonna do whatever. And they got to a point where you know you just run the streets all fucking day as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go to school. I ran the streets all day until I was tired. You know what I'm saying? And I fucking ran, go to somebody's house or you know one of my homeboys' house. Their parents, you know, get high or whatever. And you know it was like whatever with his family. So you know you with his life. So you know you stay there. You go down the basement hiding and shit. Somebody's dark ass basements. Laying on some pissy ass clothes and shit cause you been running all day, so you fucking tired. You been running the streets, ducking the police and ducking motherfuckers out all day cause you hooking school. So it got to a point where you know I would hook school in the library. I would just go to the library. Ain't nobody gonna question no kid in the library.
Nope. That's smart.
If you in the library, so fuck it. I just went to the library and stayed in the library and fuck it. Since I'm here, I'm gonna read. I was educating myself, you know what I'm saying? Just random books and shit, just anything. I'm picking shit up and read, you know what I mean? And a lot of the shit I never thought that I would need or even have a discussion about some of the shit that I read or that it would come up in a conversation. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know that. And motherfuckers looking, how you know that shit? I read that shit in the book, man. When I was hooking school, I read that shit in the book.
You see the irony there, though.
Yeah.
While I was hooking school, I was reading books.
Yeah, and I never thought these conversations or the information that I was gathering would even come up in a conversation, you know what I'm saying? And, you know.
Somebody trying to give you a fade when you're not a barber, my mother
My pop wasn't no barber, but he been cutting my hair.
You know how to do a fade though?
No, he was like, yeah, I got your fade. That nigga took them clippers, cut all the shit off my head. You know what I'm saying?
And don't see how it's not a fade either. Like, boy, it is a fade.
Now he didn't even give me no fade. He didn't even give me a fade. He just gave me a straight regular. Cut all. Yeah, I got your fade right here. Cut all that shit off. And it got to the point I was like, you know, I started trying to cut my own shit. I was fucking up my own head, giving myself bold fades and fucking my own head, trying. And through trial and error, and started cutting my brother's hair. They were my practice heads to learn to cut a fade. So I started learning to cut the fade and shit from cutting their hair. And then cutting my own hair.
Right?
I was a teenager. I was in middle school.
Okay.
I was in middle school and shit. I started cutting hair when I was in middle school, using my father's clippers. And you know, that's when they started, you know, we started doing the designs and the hair and all that shit.
At the late 80s,
Yeah, late 80s, started all doing the designs.
As a middle schooler?
In middle school, I started doing that shit because, again, art. My first love and my first shit was art, drawing. That was my first talent. I could draw. So everywhere I went, I was watching haircuts and shit. I was looking at people's haircuts and shit. You know what I'm saying? I had never been in a barbershop until, or getting my, I never got a barbershop haircut. My father cut my hair until I was, what, 13, 14 years old.
They was good hair, they was just evens, that's all.
It was just even Stevens.
Okay.
With a shape up.
Oh, wow. He had good shape.
Yeah, and I remember a few times he cut my hair he just gave me a shape up, no haircut. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was before cats was really growing temple tables and bushes and shit. He just gave me a shape up with no haircut. And I went to school and the girls was like, oh, that look nice, that look cute, that's cute. That's what started it all for me. Drawing.
And so you segued from the art and treatment involved, and you like what, 13?
Yep.
To middle school, 7th, 8th grade.
Yep. And then I set up a little barbershop in the house.
Making money too.
Making money.
Cutting for free.
Cutting for free, nigga. Now I wasn't cutting for free. I was making money. $7 a head.
Oh yeah, you was trying.
So you know, all that stuff. You know, from, like I said, from running the streets. Used to go down to Super Pride and go to the markets and shit and stand outside the market. Can I help you with your bags? Take your bags to the car.
Super Pride.
Yeah, doing that kind of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Not going to school and hanging up at Urban Shopping Center. Cause I was going to Her and Run, so it's like shit.
Okay.
I'm gonna go down to Urban Shopping Center, hanging in the shopping center all day, standing outside the market trying to, you know what I mean, take your bags to the car for you, whatever, you know what I mean, for some change. You know what I mean? I was one of those kids, man. I was one of those little dusty motherfucking kids that was running around and shit, and people looking down on you, not knowing your situation. My homeboys would go into the barbershop to get haircuts. I would go with them. So it's like, okay, I'm just with them. I'm just coming. I'm here, but I'm with them. I'm with somebody. You know what I'm saying? So it became that, and I started watching the barbers cut. I was watching the clippers and shit. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't afford no professional clippers. But all I kept saying in my mind was like, the first chance I get to get some money, I'm gonna get some of them clippers. I want some of them clippers because I was still cutting niggas with the Oster clippers, with the Osters without the arm on it. The ones without the arm, they just had the straight blade, and I would take a screwdriver. Then when the way I would cut and blend, I would take the screwdriver and loosen the blades up and slide the blades up, and then tighten them back up and cut, and then take the blades, inch them down a little bit, and tighten them back up and cut.
That was that's ingenuity right there.
Yeah, that's how.
Shit,
I learned to slide the blades up and down in order to cut. And then when it was time for the shape, when it was time to shape somebody up, I would take the blades and I would push them, bring them all the way back together, tighten them up, and shaping niggas up with the Osters with no arm on them. And
that's wild. That's I mean,
yeah. And my pops had bags of clippers. He had bags and bags of old clippers. Like, you know, all of us got old clippers right now. All of us got old ass clippers. That we, you know, the blade might got chipped or.
Is that a barber thing? Why you don't throw them away?
Because the same, like Crazy Rays, you might need the parts. You might need some parts off of them. So it's like, I ain't gonna get rid of them. Yeah. Damn. I would take the bastards apart. I would take the whole. I would have my father's old clippers. and I would take the whole clipper apart, take the motor out, and all that shit till it was nothing but a shell. I would take all that shit out and I would put it in another set of clippers. I would take blades off of clippers and trade, cause some blades had a have a teeth chipped on them. Mm-hmm. But the teeth might be chipped on the blade, but the clippers are good. So I would get another pair of clippers and take the blade, because I ain't know nothing about going to buy new blades and replacement blades for your clippers. I was just taking them shits off of old clippers and putting them on another set of clippers and taking the motor out a set of clippers and putting the shits back into another clipper and making clippers and shit, you know what I mean? And
all at 13?
13 years old, man, kid, man. I was into electronics and shit, taking old race cars and remote control cars and
never formally trained.
Never formally trained, because when we was young, my mom used to go to Radio Shack, and you remember Radio Shack had the robotic shit in there where you could had the soldering, you had this little soldering, thing where you could solder shit and working on little robots and like shit like computer motherboards and shit, and they had shit that you would buy the little science shit, and my mother got us that shit, so I understood how to take like motors and shit, like taking old race cars and taking the motor out the car and popping it back in, and I understood that shit because it was the same shit inside the clippers. Had that little copper. The same theory. Had that little copper, that copper wire wrapped around the shit. The same shit was inside the race car. The same shit was inside the clippers. So I understood it and just taking the shit apart. You know what I mean? And always was never scared to work on shit. My mother would be like, "Oh, the iron got a shortening. It's a shortening in the iron and shit." You know what I mean? She ready to throw the motherfucker away. I'm like, "Fuck that! I take the cord, cut the cord, and find an old extension cord and fucking splice the cords together."
So I know you, but introduce yourself, your name, where you came up at, age, eternal, sure. Okay. But yeah, let the folks know real quick.
First of all, I appreciate you brothers coming out, you know what I mean, just hearing from us, you know what I mean. A lot of work over the years, you know what I mean, definitely pays off when guys want to come back and document some of the stuff that they have experienced and been exposed to from being around us, you know, creating that community. But Sundiata Osaji, 44 years old. I was born in Brookhaven, New York, which is the biggest town one of the biggest towns on Long Island. Came up in an all-black town, you know, with the same ills as a big city, you know what I mean? Okay. So, you know what I mean? First of all, I come from a beautiful family, you know what I mean? A beautiful family, mother, father, grandma. I had that village, you know what I mean? Definitely had that village to look out for me, you know what I mean, when I was on Long Island. But we come from a small town that had big city problems, you know what I mean? So a lot of times people think about like Long Island, it's rich and all that.
About the one part of Long Island, never had that. Yeah.
You always hear about like the Hamptons, right? Like rich part, affluent parts and stuff like that.
Never wine dance, am I pronouncing it?
Yeah, wine dance, yeah. Wine dance, I'm from
There's a lot going on out there.
It's a lot of nice history too of black Indians and, you know what I mean, black Indian reservations. You know, I had a chance to be exposed to all of that, you know what I mean, going to powwows, you know what I mean, a nice strong community. You know what I mean? Like I said, a small town with big city problems, but still was a lot of love. Everybody knew everybody, and you know, I was there till about 12. You know what I mean? 12 years old. Then I moved to Baltimore, and we moved out to Sedonia first. So I moved out to Garden Village first with my aunt. You know what I mean? My mother's sister and my two cousins, and that was a great experience. You know, just to come down to you know what I mean, Baltimore. You know, it was shell shock for me. It was different. But you know,
what year we talking about?
We're talking about 89, like 88, 89. Okay. You know what I mean? 1988, 89, that year. So we're talking about during that time. So you know what was going on during that time. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, that's what everywhere was getting ripped apart with that.
Yeah, everywhere was getting ripped apart. You know, I'm unapologetic. I have no apologies when it comes to like understanding like the effects of like crack, cocaine, devastated my family. You know what I mean? It had an impact on my family. You know what I mean?
You have an intimate relationship. It just ain't something that's on the news or something that's abstract to you.
Yeah, I'm real familiar with it. I bear witness to how it came into our families and just like displaced a lot of people. You know what I mean? And broken families down, took the father out. You know what I mean? And just neutralized the family. Whereas though, you know what I mean? There's a lot of dysfunction going on. feel what I'm saying? So I'm glad, and I don't have no regrets of coming out of being exposed to that world and having it, you know what I mean? Having the grips of it on my family, you know what I mean? Firsthand and seeing it. But you know, I came out strong, and you know, it made me who I am today, you know.
Well, and that's the name of the documentary is The Phoenix Crucible, and Crucible in the sense of the crucible in the sense of the container that a chemist would use to break something down to its rawest compound. And I know another definition of it is any ordeal that you go through. But the Phoenix part is you, Dwele, everybody that's been fortunate enough to get a part of here. The Phoenix, Baltimore is the crucible. It ain't just Baltimore, it's Detroit, Philadelphia, Compton, Houston. It's not nothing that's concentric just to Baltimore, but to the black community. Like you said, you know what was going on around 88, 89.
Yeah.
It wasn't just here, that was 88, 89, everywhere. Everybody was feeling that crush.
Yeah.
But you're the Phoenix that I'm talking about. And the way you said it, I would never trade none of that.
Exactly.
You said it so eloquently, and that's how you get the Phoenix. So let me just jump straight into it. And like I say, live on camera, if I get the win on the chessboard, it does count as a win still. What was your ambition and your dream?
Man,
and when did you first realize it?
You know, I always was into sports, football, baseball, basketball, so I always stayed into sports. And you know, it was always like any other kid to be an athlete, you know what I mean? Be a good athlete, a professional athlete, and make it that way. But you know, that's not a reality. For 90, that's not a reality. For 95% of the people who want to be athletes or professional athletes, that's not going to be a reality. So you know, coming out of that, you know what I mean? I always want to deal with like sports and sports journalism and things of that nature, you know. But things just kind of took a turn, you know what I mean? I became exposed to some cats, you know what I mean, in high school and formed good relationships. And then, you know, my ambition of, because of learning the knowledge of self and awareness of self and what I needed for myself, I started to understand the strength of being an entrepreneur, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So being an entrepreneur was at the tip of like what I wanted to do. Wanted to leverage my time, wanted to be free. I didn't want no boss, you know what I mean? I didn't really want to be, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be, you know what I mean, hide or under nobody's, you know what I mean, timeline. You feel what I'm saying? So that was one of my dreams, you know what I mean? And because of that, the other dream was always to help my people, you know what I mean? Always to be a catalyst and a frontline soldier and a frontline OG, you know what I mean, for my people. Because you're a soldier first, when you come back from the front lines and you become an OG when you get, you know what I mean, get the young people knowledge and insight from the experiences that you had to help lead them in the right and corrective direction.
It's almost like a farm. Everything you do, if you're fortunate enough to get to that last line, well,
exactly.
now
you can be queen, you can be the king, a rook, whatever. But you can be a more powerful piece.
But you gotta go through the war.
Yeah, you gotta go through the war.
That's the end game right there.
Yep. You gotta go through the war. Yep, that's the end game.
So, well, let me ask you this: how did your environment affect the pursuit of your dreams?
My environment, it made me more resilient in the approach to my dreams. You know what I mean? My environment was my confirmation for what needed to change. You feel what I'm saying?
I like how you said that.
So my environment was the confirmation for what needed to change and for who I had to be. I knew my father wasn't there all the times that I needed him. You feel what I'm saying? So I didn't want to be like that for my children. That was the environment I was in, you know what I mean? And I love my father dearly, and he's perfect for me, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He's perfect for me. That 44, the resentments and the things that they could have did, and that you're like, oh damn, he wasn't there for this and this. Yeah, I don't hold that no more, you know what I mean? I'm learning after 44 years to be forgiven, to understand that man still was loving, and he still was giving me the best part of him. You feel what I'm saying? So the environment, being not fatherless, because I had other guys to step up and play father role at times, rather it was a football coach, an uncle, a neighbor, or you know what I mean, or a teacher. You feel what I'm saying? So my environment showed me the role I needed to play for the younger kids, you feel me? And for my seeds, you feel what I'm saying? So I became that football coach. I became the recreational coach. You feel what I'm saying? Because the first person who ever showed me value in my environment was my football coach from Collins Square, Coach Dennis. I was like 13, man. it showed me that I had value because he would call me. He would know
not just on the value,
not football, just a value as a person. Yeah, because he knew that we was gonna be like lackadaisical and, you know what I mean, coming to practice and stuff like that. So every time he let me know that I was powerful and he needed me. You know what I mean? Like you, it's a need for you. So that motivates you. Like, because you're not hearing nobody else calling me, no other man calling me at this time, telling that they need me for anything. You feel what I'm saying? And showing me that I'm strong and they depending on me. Like you know what I mean? Like that's big for a cat that's 13 trying to find yourself. You know what I mean? Your father doing 3 to 4 years upstate New York, you know what I mean, in the P now. You know what I mean? You haven't really talked to him. You got a football coach that's showing you value, doing whatever it takes to get you out there to play, you know what I mean? And rather it's investing in you, picking you up or whatever, you know what I mean? You feel what I'm saying? And those things like that meant a lot to me. So that's why I went back and did the same thing, coaching recreational football with Baltimore City Youth, you know? They're going to high school, going to Patterson High School, going back to my roots, my alma mater, with the guys who graduated from me. You know what I mean?
Still
go back. I don't do it no more, but I did it for like 5 years, yeah. But I still help support the program, definitely, because my guys still up there. And you know, we gotta give back, you know what I mean? We gotta go back and give back. And you know, my environment had a big impression on who I am today, you know what I mean? Because a lot of it was about filling the void, you know what I mean? Making sure that people I come in contact with have accessibility to strong men, to men with vision, you know what I mean? To men who stand up in the community, and men who have principles, you know? And men who have principles.
We kind of spoke about what were the obstacles in your path and your journey to becoming who you are. Just becoming.
The obstacles that were on my path to where I'm at now as a man. The obstacles was just me. You know what I mean? There wasn't no other obstacle. Like every obstacle was me. You know, I can point to the system. I can point to like the things that I had, the neglect. You know what I mean? The you know what I mean? Bad relationships, bad friendships. But you know, at the end of the day, they was all a reflection of me at some point. You feel what I'm saying? So my biggest obstacle, and every man's biggest obstacle, is himself. You know? So that was me. But you know, as far as like anything else, I tried. You know what I mean? Like you know, I ain't had like a big incarceration record and nothing like that, dealing with the streets and nothing like that, because
how was you able to sidestep that pitfall? That's
I had voice of reasons around me. I had an aunt who was really adamant on me, and like when we do like street stuff, like I had an aunt, and we back in the, you know what I mean, in the 90s, everybody wanted fronts and fronts and goals. My aunt was telling me like, look, you don't need that, you don't need that. And we didn't understand, we thought she just hated. But you know, looking at it in hindsight, I didn't need no guy. You know, I ain't need no permanent goals in my mouth. You know what I'm saying?
The mess joints up later as your growing.
Exactly. Exactly. I like my teeth the way they are. My teeth perfect the way they are. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was young, and you know, not getting into the culture like that. You know what I mean? On that level, like fully diving into it, because you know when you was in it like that, you was like coming slicker and slicker. You know what I mean?
It's a process.
It's a process, yeah.
And then you wake up one day and you're like, man, how did I end up here? And here ain't always a good place when you get caught up in that getting slick.
That's right, you're right. So I had aunts, I had uncles, you know, when we be on the corners and stand out, uncles were like, man, get out of there, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They would make sure that we had a voice of reason at some points, you feel what I'm saying? And we was smart enough to understand that, you know what I mean? Like, look, listen to that alarm that was just sound, you know what I mean? But then we had a lot of people that was failing around us, you know what I mean? That made sure that we didn't do what they needed to do, because
during that time period, there was a lot going on.
What was it? Man, so I ain't gonna be like this. But sports helped me stay up the streets though, because I'd be at football practice instead of coming home. Imagine if I didn't go to football practice, baseball practice, and football and basketball practice.
Man, you played all three?
I played all three, so we stayed busy. Everything was going on at the school. You know what I mean? You go around the way, if you want to sell drugs, you can sell drugs. If you want to steal cars late at night, you can steal cars. You know what I mean? If you want to get in stuff, you fight all the fights. We had practice, the fights are happening around the way. You feel what I'm saying? Like everybody fighting and doing what they're doing around the way.
Especially around that time.
Yeah. Around that time, it was, you know what I mean, Baltimore was populated. There wasn't no broken down streets and shit like that. You had the whole Broadway, you had the whole, you know what I mean, all the small streets were there. It was heavily populated, so a lot was going on. But you know,
East.
East, goodness, yeah. But
I was on another planet sometimes. You go over there.
Yeah, what the heck is going on? But I love East too. Like when I came up on Murray Street, we moved from Garden Village to Murray Street, and that was like a whole nother level. Yeah. Just thinking Murray, Preston, Kenwood, Milton Avenue, Luzerne.
And you talking about Milton, Preston in the 90s?
In the 90s. So you talking about the whole area. Look, we moved around there like, what the?
Yeah,
what?
Boy.
Man, I mess up. I like, what? Long Island, New York, this ain't got nothing. You know what I mean? Or what I'm seeing out here. Wow. But I'm exposed to, you know what I mean? Like nothing. You know, it seems like we just got dropped off. Like, bam. You know what I mean? Like, ground zero. But you know, I met some amazing people, man, amazing friendships I developed, and I still have them to this day, man. From around there, from everywhere I went, you know what I mean? In Baltimore City, you know what I mean? Baltimore welcomed me, even though I'm a native now. But you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't originally born here, but you know, when you go to Baltimore City public schools, you Baltimore. You know? Like you drive, if you ride MTA the bus, if you rode MTA, you know what I mean?
It's no about super pride.
You know about super pride, man, and all that. You know, be more, you know what I mean? Be more forever, you know what I mean? I love the city, man. When people talk down about it, I love the city because I see all the character, I see all the guys that come from different cities who end up being here. You know what I mean? End up here. Like, how did all of this power just come here? So it's definitely a power center, man, that ain't been spoken about because there's a lot of guys, man, from all around, man, who come here, man. And I know we got like a lot, there's a lot of thorough brothers such as yourself, this young brother and Dwele, you know what I mean, all the other barbers, the barber community and everything. Now, Bilal and around other spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, man. You had a great interview. Did it ever seem like you never realized your dream?
Yeah, you know,
and at what age did you have that thought?
Only time that dreams wasn't realized is during that same time, like in high school, where it was a lot of killing. Baltimore, the killings was at an all-time high in the 90s. Like, them years, 93, 94, 95, 96.
All the way up.
97, 98, all the 90s, man.
I would say like from 92, from 92 all the way. I don't think we never hit them levels. We still bad now, but it was a 10 years of 300. Can you imagine how 10 years of 300 bodies? Can you imagine seeing that many bodies that would fill up a gymnasium, a high school gymnasium? You're going to have dead bodies packed on the floor, and then all them bodies look like me, you, my man Miles. That's crazy. And you know, this wasn't a question, but since we happen to be talking about it, because it's a big thing in my household, especially with everything going on now with Rashad, I believe his name was Rashad Brooks, the young man, the other young man that was jogging, George Floyd. All of them was tragedies, and they were horrible, and they needed the light and the attention, in my opinion. Like I was telling my lady, when I look and I see over Father's Day weekend, Sunday, 104 shootings in Chicago, 13 dead. May 31st in Chicago, in a 24-hour time period, and 18 dead. They haven't had 18 dead people on the same day since 1961. And that's just Chicago. I would venture to say Chicago is I'm not venture to say, I know Chicago is a massive city. Baltimore is smaller, and our numbers time that. And it's almost like if you kill me, that's not really news. It's wrong when the police do any killings. But by and far, I would say that our biggest problem is our accountability. The police ain't killing 300 of us every year. And Baltimore's a city big as a dot. We not a Brooklyn or it's a tough topic and it's a sensitive topic. And anytime you talk about accountability, none of them, whatever the guy's name, Chauvin, whatever his name is, none of them get off the hook. But this has nothing to do with. This had something to do, like how you were saying, you didn't come like this by accident. You had a coach to give you work. You had guidance. Even when I'm veering off to the side, and we had more Sundiatas, more Dwellies. That's how you curb that. That's how you curb that. You don't have to be. I forget what it was a line off the movie Barbershop for Cedric Entertainer. He was like, man, you know, a good barber is a psychologist.
You're a psychologist,
a stylist, a chess teacher. But it embodied, you embody all of that. You Dwele, and you imbue the shop. When I first started, I came here just for a shape up. But then, man, it just became, I'll never forget one time when you was like, Lex, man, you impressed upon me the importance of when you make an appointment and keep it. And at the time, I'm ripping and running outside and just, I'll never forget when you talked to me outside there, yo. And from that day on, well, also I said, this man ain't playing either. You said, yo, you make an appointment, and I realized it. But it's how you said it, like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's like it defined the character of a man. Also, you messing up money for you, know, but it ain't, I know it ain't personal with you, but I never thought of it, and I took that for my whole life. Now, that's why I was so bad. I was like, no, I can't miss it, yo. Again, if I miss it out again, he's like, oh man, that's probably cool. But that's what I'm talking about, is that them life lessons that you can impart to people.
That's right.
It's getting your hair cut is the sometimes I forgot.
Can I just add on to the police thing?
Yeah, real quick. I want you to.
And just going into the nation, you know what I mean? All you know what I mean? Black on black violence, like that's a no-no. Like the first organization that I came up in, one of our primary things was really to alleviate, you know, black on black violence and just self-hate. You know what I mean? Because we know and understand that, you know what I mean? Black on black violence is not just people want to be violent to each other, but it's systematic. It's also systematic. It's systemic. And the difference between the police brutality and when police kill people is that the police are on camera, you know what I mean? And they do this, and you can identify, and it's an actual fact, who has done that murder, you know what I mean? So most of the times when we're in the neighborhood, we're in the hood, there's no identity on who. There's no face. We don't see no face of nobody killing nobody. So it's not like we can directly. No, what I'm saying though. So the outrage is different because you can associate the face with the killer and murder being the case. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So if I wake up in the morning like two people, they ain't showing me no picture. I'm just hearing it. You know what I'm saying? So the emotional connection.
That's a significant nuance.
Yeah. So the social connection is different for us wanting justice. You feel what I'm saying? Because we can see that person. If you go on the camera, many people that love you, you know what I mean? If you go on the camera, fuck, see your face, they gonna turn you in. You know what I mean? It's just a fact. You feel what I'm saying? Somebody gonna feel like, man, he shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Somebody who love you and you have a relationship, who can identify you, gonna be like, what? He shouldn't have done that. And you ain't gonna get no mercy, beloved. You know what I mean? You feel what I'm saying? You're not gonna get no mercy. Even if you did it for somebody harming your family, God forbid that. Yeah. But what I'm saying, like, even if it was in self-defense, they can put you up there, post you up there. You in the act of the crime of committing a murder, there will be no mercy for you. You know what I mean? You will still have to go through progressions. You might end up getting off, but the initial phase ain't gonna be no mercy, bro. You feel what I'm saying? But so the difference is that we can see the people, we can identify who's doing it. But in our community, we can't identify. And I guarantee you, if people can identify some of these people, they will be telling. You feel what I'm saying?
Oh, it's a lot of telling going on.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is, but what I'm saying, so it's a lot of telling going on, and I don't commend any black on black violence at all. But I just know and understand that, you know what I mean? It's a difference when you can see the murderer, when you can't see the murderer. You know what I'm saying? Because we like fuck that. You know what I mean? And given the history in this country, we already know the spirit behind it. You feel what I'm saying? We already know the spirit behind it. So, and I'm gonna say this: nobody in my family has ever been killed by black on black violence, but somebody was killed by police. My uncle, you know what I mean? And this was in the 80s. Yeah. So my reality is different too. You know what I mean? And I know reality is all about what you've been experiencing and what's near and dear to you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I have never had nobody killed by black on black murder in my family. But one of my uncles who did die in the hands of murder was murdered by white police in Suffolk County, New York. So that's a whole different reality for our family. You know what I mean? You feel what I'm saying? Wow. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I ain't had nobody die. You feel what I'm saying? So if your family still is like, damn, you.
How old were you when that was?
I just moved to Baltimore. We was here for like 6 months. And they gave us the call. that's trauma too, you know what I mean? Like you good on who you love, you know what I mean? To get killed by, you're like, how the hell is that happening?
And that's going to tinge the way that I view police and authority from then on. You're very familiar with a lot of. Let me get this because you give me a great sound bites, brother. What's your best memory of your journey so far?
My best memory of my journey, man, is having my daughters, my 3 daughters.
Your grandfather now
yeah,
too.
and and the grandfather, just like the whole parenting thing. Like that's the amazing thing. You know, I was a father young, and I don't regret that. Like people always ask me the question, like, you're a teenage father. Do you wish you'd have had him late? No. I'm glad I had him young. You feel what I'm saying? I'm glad I had him young because now it's like we grew together. We actually grew together. You know what I'm saying? I grew up with my kids, really. Like I was just, you know what I mean, a couple years older than them.
And all I had was daughters.
All I had was daughters, but I did have a strong support system. My mother, aunts, you know what I mean, their godparents, you know what I mean. So and I had twins, so I didn't have one baby off the rip. I had two at one time. You feel what I'm saying? I had 2 at one time. So I
can't. That's hard to.
So
I got 5 months old now. I had at 40. I just can't imagine being a teenager.
Yeah, teenager, 18, 19, and that was like one of the greatest things. I was there from when they came out the womb to now. You know what I mean? They grown women. They 26.
You always was a presence in their life.
Yeah, 26, and I got my youngest is 21, and my grandson is 4. So you know what I mean? Those are the greatest things to watch them. You know what I mean? To see how they will be taking care of you because you took care of them. You know what I mean? And it's automatic control, man. You feel what I'm saying?
Since you have daughters, and that's something I'm wondering now with an infant daughter, what's the hardest part, in your opinion, the most difficult thing you would say raising daughters?
The most difficult thing, you know, we get into the emotional boys and them potentially having sex and all that stuff. That was all the hardest stuff, you know what I mean? Because we knew how we were. And we didn't want our kids having sex and having babies, you know what I mean? But you know that's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's a human thing, you know what I mean? So, you know, that was like one of the hardest things. But I was blessed to have good children, good daughters who followed direction and just being in their life, you know what I mean? They really understood the connection that we had, and they was good kids, man. You know what I mean? Good children. So, you know, it wasn't really like a lot of good. I was a good child, you know what I mean? You feel me? So that rubbed off on them, you know what I mean? They made parenting easy.
Did you have a relationship with them? I mean, of course you had a relationship with her, but the relationship between the mother of your children and you, did it deteriorate, or how did that affect the foundation that you were able to give your daughters?
It was good. She really leaned on me for understanding, guidance, protection, direction. So I didn't really have a real, you know what I mean, a real kickback from her, like when it came to my daughters. And she was real supportive, you know what I mean? She was like hands off when it was time for them to do things with daddy. You know what I mean? Okay. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. She let us have our own world. She let me. She didn't affect the connection in no way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? Okay. So you know that's positive. You know.
Let me ask you this: what was the worst memory of your journey? If you know, whatever you feel.
The worst memory. That's a good one. The worst memory.
You can touch on it light too.
Yeah. Worst memory. You know, I think we can all go to loss. You know what I mean? I basically had a pleasant life, you know what I mean? So even like loss and death is like, when you really look at it again, it's really not bad. But you know, you had bad moments when my grandmother passed away. You know what I mean? She was a beloved to the family, and like she, like, you know, when my mother was going through her stuff, she would take us in, you know what I mean? So she was like hands on with me and my brother, you know what I mean? Like hands on.
That's how you know what
I mean? With 2 boys. You feel what I'm saying? Like unapologetically, she loved it. She loved the role she played, and you know, she was like, you know, she helped raise us too a whole lot. You know what I mean? Me and my brother. And my grandmother had 14 kids. So imagine how many grandchildren she had. So we was able to really get a tutelage under our grandmother. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Like me and you know what I mean? Because my mother was going through her progressions in life, and my grandmother, you know, they like we'd go over there and stay weeks, and you know what I mean? And they make sure we go to school and everything. So, you know, out of all the siblings, all the grandchildren, me and my brother was really under our grandmother.
How many I'm just curious, how many grandchildren this year?
She had like 50 grandchildren, you know.
Wow.
Like 50. Yeah. So we was able to do that. So when she transitioned, you know, it was like one of the hardest things, you know what I mean, in my life. You know what I mean? Because our family haven't really experienced a lot of death, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel a lot of people live, you know what I mean? So a lot of early tragedy didn't happen, except my uncle who was murdered by the police. You know what I mean? At probably in his 30s, you know what I mean? He was in his 30s, man, and he was a veteran. Look, bro.
You telling me I didn't get killed in the war?
He didn't get killed in the war, but was a veteran of the United States and was killed on the streets. You know what I mean? Before the cameras, so it wasn't no cameras and none of that. But you know, those two things are probably like the tragic thing, like experiencing those losses. You know what I mean? That his loss at a young age, and my grandmother like in my later age. You know what I mean? She lived to like 80, so you know what I mean?
Oh wow, okay.
Good, yeah.
Nice.
So she lived a nice little time.
Let me ask you this: where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Then in the next 10 years?
Well, you know, the next 5 years, I see myself like, I see myself retiring from barbering and doing other business things.
Okay, I know you got other ventures, and
I got other ventures. Got the bracelets that I'm wearing. You know what I mean? You see the glass of
I see all the time. Yeah. I see it on IG. Yeah. You yourself celebrate.
Yeah. Me and I got a partner. We go to Ghana. So part of this in 5 and 10 years, my 5-year plan is to have a house in Ghana, and more like a compound of houses and land. You know what I mean? Where we farm, but we also can bring people from America to experience Africa. You know what I mean? So what better way is it for guys, you know, from this soil to go over to the motherland soil and take you and give you the tours that you need of the slave castles, of the Shanti region, you know what I mean? Of the Shanti region, you know what I mean? The Volta region, see the lowlands, the highlands, you know what I mean? See all the art, the gold, see the markets, the huge marketplaces with everything in them. You know what I mean? The kente cloth, you know what I mean? So what better is it for guys here to go set up land that have all accommodations that you have here to go back to the motherland and pay homage, you know what I mean? To the cradle, you know what I mean? The birthplace of civilization.
Please let us know how much, what's the price of it?
Okay, yeah. We you know the copper, you see they got two different ones, the copper and I got the stretch cord, you know what I mean? These go for like 80 right here with the copper on them.
Okay.
And these go from 30 and up right here.
How much for the neck?
These 150.
And you ship them out?
Yep, 150. With the big bronze head, they make this, and everything is made from glass. So no plastic, no acrylic. Everything is hand painted, no machines, no mass production. So everything is intricate. An artist hand paint each color you see. So artists doing it. Yeah, hand painted. So it's hand painted, handmade. So that's the unique thing. But these were the trade beads used on the trade routes. So before paper and plastic currencies, the bead system was a form of currency that the people used for goods and services. These in particular come from Ghana. And so we go to Ghana and we go to the trade markets and we get the beads and we make them into the bracelets though. The beads come in strands. So we organize them and put them on this.
How long have you been
I've been doing this for like 6 years, man. Been over to Africa 4 times, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
been to Ghana twice and was supposed to go before the pandemic, but the flights got canceled. You know what I mean? So we didn't go. So that'd have been my 3rd time, but we'd be going back. But in 5 years, this business is gonna be well up and running. We're gonna have a compound over in Ghana. You know what I mean? And we want people to come.
That's what I wanted you to touch on. Is when you say you have a compound. That's now it's almost like I got an enclave of American.
Yeah.
Folks, like some people I might feel more acclimated and comfortable to be able to outreach rather versus to just go and don't know anybody.
Yep.
You know
exactly. So we're gonna be your eyes, your ears, and everything you need for you. So the compound, the whole thing of that is just like multiple houses in the same proximity. That's controlled. You know what I mean? Still by the people. So it's like we got the compound. It's us and. It's fenced, you know what I mean? It's protected, you know what I mean? We can fence it up. You know what I mean?
Making our own community.
Yeah, we make our own community, and then we go over there and we go back and forth because the resources in Africa. You know what I mean? Everything in here comes from like places like that. The minerals, the resources and stuff come from there. So we got to get back over there, and we got to be both places. We got to be here too. You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't be here, but be dual, be both. You know what I mean? Be bi. You know what I mean? Be bi-continental.
And touching, and man, I could do a whole separate interview with you just on that. You blew my mind with that, really.
You get a lot of footage, so you cut it.
But damn, man, that's awesome in the truest sense of that word. That's I had no idea you was doing that.
Yeah, man.
And that's what went into all of those beads and damn, man, you just learned something. So let me go up there. Let's
10 years. I have to do 10 years, right?
Yeah, 10 years.
So 10 years, I would be 65, right? No, wait, no, I'd be 55.
No.
55. 53, 54, 54. Okay, yeah, I got time. I got some time. I'm still young. I got some time. I got some time. So in 10 years, I want to be doing what I said about the 5 year on just a high level. So the 5 year will just be, that'll be like the first phase, you know, and then the 10 year be it activated on its highest potential. You feel what I'm saying? So that's multiple businesses internationally. You know, that's business here in America, business abroad, you know, and reduplicating myself. So if you see me doing that, I'm showing the next brother how to do that. But they just got to balls and had a wit, had a vision to want to do it. You feel what I'm saying? Because I don't want to go I'm not going over there just for me. I'll show you how to fish over there too. You know what I mean? You feel what I'm saying? And show you how to fish here. You feel what I'm saying? So I want to reduplicate myself with like minds. You follow what I'm saying? You know what I mean? My goal is always to connect the bridges, because you go over to Africa, I'm showing like, yo, see what business you want, to industry you want to get in. Let's make it happen. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't got to be the glass, but it's so much stuff. It's the shea butter, it's cacao, cocoa, chocolate, rubber. You know what I mean? Gold, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's open for us too, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Like the pawn, when the pawn goes to the pawn goes to the end, could be anything he wants. That, you know what I mean? The white man knows that it's their game, but we still in it. We can go organize, develop relationships with our business, make the right moves, and we can be the dealers of, you know what I mean, natural resources, natural products. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? Like start international LLCs.
We don't need to have them as the intermediary and the gatekeepers.
Exactly. We can get textile, all that from there, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like we can go textile, man. Anything.
They would hate to see that.
Drawers, underwears. They make Africa make their own underwears. We can have our own underwear line, yo. You feel what I'm saying? We can just connect with them and connect with the mill over there. Free labor. No, not free labor, cheap labor. Or not cheap labor, affordable labor. You feel what I'm saying? Affordable labor. So it's not free and it's not cheap, but it's affordable labor. You know? Because we want to make sure that people get paid fairly across the board.
Yeah,
you feel what I'm saying? We want to
take advantage of it.
Yeah, we're not here to take advantage or be extreme capitalists, you know?
Let me ask you this. What, in your opinion, is Reflection Eternal's role and its value in the community? And this is a two-pronged question. And what are some of the initiatives and the outreach that you and Reflection Eternal have been involved in? And just off the top of my head, I remember, please let them know about Eddie Conway and the young man who was playing chess here. And I mean, I can't tell you what to say. Okay. Please touch on them.
But just the outreach, but first and foremost, Reflection Eternal is birthed from Conscious Heads Barbershop. You know what I mean?
That was the original.
Yeah, that was the original. That's where me and Aunt Dwele met at, and that's where we birthed Reflection Eternal from being in that space. You know what I'm saying? So, big ups to Conscious Heads, Brother Jabbar and all them. We come out of movement. You know what I mean? We come out of movement. Soul Vibers Nations, reality speaks. You know. So, one thing that Brother Jabari always pushed was that he wanted the barbershop to be a community space, and we was all, you know what I mean, into that, you know what I mean, and it was his vision that we took to another level. You feel what I'm saying? And added our feng shui, our juju to it. You know what I mean? To make it what it is, what Reflection Eternal is. You feel what I'm saying? But you know, a lot of times people don't give homage or salutes or supreme salutes to those that helped them along the way. You know what I mean? It wasn't just us. We had an organization, we was part of a barbershop that helped pierce and lead the way for where we at today. Okay. You follow what I'm saying? So within that, the organizational structure, we was involved in a prison system. You feel what I'm saying? So one of the outreaches that you're talking about, one of the ways that we were involved was our organization had a prison system, and we would go to the prisons, you know, and we go to the prison and we had talks to the brothers, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And
And that's something I really like because I felt the spirit of the brothers and it was receptive. And even though brothers doing life and, you know what I mean, they doing 20, 30 years and long bids, you know, it gave me a lot of experience and it gave me a lot of connection. However, Brother Eddie Conway, a lot of the political prisoners, a lot of the unjust prisoners, the prisoners who were incarcerated unjustly, we did meet in the Maryland House of Corrections. You feel what I'm saying?
That's amazing.
And we developed relationships with Eddie Conway, with various brothers of the prison system. And a lot of those brothers who were doing life came home. And it's great to see brothers who you see behind the bars come home and they got life when you in there. You like, man, how they ever gonna get home? And then you see these brothers coming to the barber shop.
Walk through the shop.
Yeah. The brothers like Walter Lomax, Eddie Conway, Idris Saloma, you know what I mean? Dennis Wise, all them guys, you know what I mean? Just going there seeing all those guys. Yeah, all of them guys, man. We go, all them guys would be in there, man. You know what I mean? All the OGs would be there, you know? And they was very receptive to what we had to say because the Nation of Islam used to bring us in. So we had the prison ministry, we would go with the Nation of Islam. So they would bring us in, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's, once again, that's brothers helping our brothers. That's a liaison that we had. You feel what I'm saying? So as brothers, we banded together and they made sure that we was in there every Thursday, every other Thursday, you know what I mean? You feel what I'm saying? And we wasn't even in the Nation, but they, you know what I mean? We wasn't.
I was about to say that, I know it was one of the early
things, yeah. That's one of the early things, the foundation. But you going into with
the young man who was
Kyrie. Kyrie.
I remember I read that. I was in the paper. The way I read it, I said, "Oh, that's my barber shop." And I said, "Damn." It made sense though that this shop would play an integral role in a young man. And then for the folks that don't know, you tell them, shed more light on it than I could. Please tell them about the young brother.
But like we doing right here, we playing chess. We playing a quick game of chess. His bishops are actually wrong, so we had to start this all back. Right?
Oh.
His bishops are wrong, so we had to start this all back over. This can't even go to the bishops wrong.
Yeah, you're right, because then I mean,
yeah. So open everything is up. So you know, we had to start up. Yeah, we had to start this all over. So the whole chess piece. You know, we have a culture of chess in here, so the kids are watching. The kids always gravitate to chess pieces. If you ever leave a chessboard around any children, they're gonna come and pick up the horses. They're gonna pick up the bishop. They're gonna pick this up and run around the shop. So it's a connection. You feel what I'm saying? So Kyrie was a young kid coming to the shop. And you know, the young kids will always observe us playing chess because the energy be at the chessboard. Yeah. You know what I mean? So just like any a real observant youth,
the money be at the chessboard too.
he look and he feel the energy, the testosterone. He feel the, you know what I mean, the strategy, and he always look. So he in his mindset, he wanted to do that when he went to school. You feel what I'm saying? So he wanted to play chess when he went to school. So at the end of the day, he went to school, had a great chess teacher. You know what I mean? He had a great chess teacher at his school, but would come back to the shop and constantly play. You know what I mean? And get better and better and play
on his own time.
On his own time, or when he was getting a haircut. So he was so respectful to the shop and what the shop meant for him. You know what I mean? As he went and crushed those tournaments, that he came back and he gave us a lot of homage to starting him off. You know what I mean? But that school, when the Roland Park school chess teacher was thorough. That little boy is nice. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the barber shop environment gave him the motivation and the push to join that chess club. You know, and he never forgot that. He's a kid who you don't forget. He just observed. You know what I mean? He thanked us for that. You know, and he wanted us to be a part of that article and a part of his championship run. And we was a part of it. You know what I mean? He created history, and he put the shop that he loves right with him, and he took us with him, and we take him with us. You know what I mean? And that's how it's supposed to be done. You take your community with you when your community supports you. You know what I mean?
I like how you
feel what I'm saying?
Take your community with you when your community supports you.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to thank you for your time, man, for your eloquence. This is man, you touched on so much. Before this whole thing said, now this might be Sundiata Part 1 interview.
Yeah, we can finish that.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you,
Appreciate
man.
it.
One love.